Your cat is sitting on the windowsill right now, watching, waiting. For what? You're not sure. And neither is it. But here's a question that will follow you for the rest of the day. Does your cat know it's going to die? Not in the abstract, not philosophically, but in the way you know. In the way that wakes you up at 3 a.m. and sits heavy on your chest. Does an animal, any animal, understand that one day it simply will not exist anymore? The answer is far stranger than you think. And it starts not with death, but with a concept that seems impossibly simple, the future. To know you are going to die, you first have to understand that tomorrow exists, that there will be a moment you are not here for. Most animals, as far as we can tell, do not live in the future. They live right now. Every second is the whole world. There is no later. There is no before. There is only the sensation of this exact moment pressing in from every direction. You are different. Your brain does something almost no other brain on this planet does. It simulates time. You can close your eyes and imagine yourself at your own funeral. You can feel the weight of something that hasn't happened yet. Psychologist Thomas Suddendorf calls this mental time travel, the ability to project yourself forward and backward through time. And for most of the animal kingdom, the evidence suggests this ability is either absent or extremely limited. But here is where things get complicated, because some animals do seem to know, or at least they seem to know something. Elephants are the most famous example. When an elephant dies, the rest of the herd doesn't simply walk away. They stand. They touch the body with their trunks, slowly, with what observers have described as deliberate attention. They return to bones months later, years later. They carry the bones of the dead sometimes for miles. Joyce Poole, a behavioral ecologist who has spent decades studying elephant communication, documented elephants standing vigil for hours over a dead companion, making low rumbling vocalizations with no apparent purpose other than presence. What does that mean? Nobody knows, but it means something. Chimpanzees, our closest genetic relatives, show something even more unsettling. In 2010, researcher Dora Biro and her colleagues at Oxford published a study documenting a chimpanzee mother in Guinea who carried her dead infant for 68 days. She groomed the mummified body. She shared food resting spots with it. She did everything she had done when the infant was alive. Other chimpanzee mothers in the study did the same. They did not seem to accept the death. They seemed to be waiting for something to change. Is that grief? Is it denial? Or is it simply that the concept of permanent absence does not exist for them? Researcher Frans de Waal, who spent decades studying primate emotions at Emory University, argued that the emotional architecture of grief, the attachment, the loss, the searching, exists in animals long before the cognitive framework to understand what death means. They feel the whole. They just cannot name it. Now think about what that means for you, because for most of human history, you were the same, not you specifically, but the version of you that existed 70,000 years ago, the version that crouched in the dark, listened for predators, and felt that same attachment, that same loss, without any framework to explain it. At some point, and researchers still argue about exactly when, something shifted. Your ancestors started burying their dead. They started placing objects beside the bodies, tools, flowers, food. This is one of the most debated transitions in paleoanthropology, but many researchers interpret it as evidence that early humans had developed a concept of death as a state, not just absence, not just loss, but an ending that required ritual. That is the moment your relationship with death changed forever, and it created a problem no other animal has ever had to solve. You are the only creature on this planet that has to build a life knowing it will end. Psychologist Sheldon Solomon, along with Jeff Greenberg and Tom Piszczynski, spent decades building what they call terror management theory, the idea that almost everything humans do is a response to the awareness of their own mortality. Your ambitions, your religions, your children, your art, your legacy, all of it, they argue, is a monument built against the fact of your own death. A way of saying, I was here, I mattered, something of me continues. The symbolic structures you build are the behavioral equivalent of the elephant standing over bones. But do animals have their own version of this? Do they feel the approach of death before it arrives? Some evidence suggests yes. Dogs in the final stages of illness often withdraw from their families. They seek solitude. They stop eating not because they cannot, but because something in them seems to shift towards stillness. Vets and animal hospice workers describe this behavior consistently, a kind of deliberate quieting. Is that preparation? Is it simply the biology of dying, the body conserving energy? Or is there, beneath the biology, some dim awareness of a threshold? There is a concept in comparative psychology called metacognition. Thinking about your own thinking, knowing that you know something. For decades, researchers believed this was exclusive to humans. Then studies began showing that great apes, dolphins, and even some birds can demonstrate uncertainty about their own knowledge. They can, in other words, recognize the limits of what they know. This is a small step, but it raises a question worth sitting with. If an animal can know that it does not know something, can it know that it does not have something? Can it know what it has lost? No one has answered that yet. Here is what we do know. Magpies, birds, not mammals, will stand beside the body of a dead companion and, according to research by magpie expert Mark Bakoff, place grass beside the body, then stand back, then leave. It happens too consistently to be random. It looks to every observer who has documented it like something, like an acknowledgement, like a goodbye. You do not have to be a scientist to feel the weight of that image, a magpie, placing grass beside its dead friend, standing back, and then going on. Somewhere in the long corridor of animal behavior, between the creature that simply walks past a dead body and the human who builds pyramids to cheat death, there is a vast spectrum of awareness. And the honest answer, the one the data supports, is that we do not know exactly where every species falls on that spectrum. We know that the cognitive prerequisites for understanding death, things like mental time travel, symbolic thought, and self-awareness, are present to varying degrees in many species. We know that the emotional prerequisites, attachment, grief, social recognition of loss, are present in many more. What we do not know is where emotion ends and understanding begins. And here is the strange thing about that. You don't know either. Not fully. Because the awareness of death that lives in your chest, the one that surfaces in quiet moments, does not arrive through logic. It arrives through feeling, through the body, through the same ancient circuitry that the elephant uses when it touches the bones of its dead. The difference between you and the elephant is not the feeling. The feeling may be the same. The difference is the story you built around it. The mythology, the ritual, the ambition, the love, all of it a response to knowing. Your cat is still sitting on the windowsill, watching, waiting, and maybe, just maybe, it feels something you recognize, not the thought of death, but the pull of the present, the full weight of being alive right now, with no future pressing in to complicate it. And perhaps that is not a limitation. Perhaps that is the other answer to the question you woke up asking at 3 a.m., the one your cat has already solved, sitting perfectly still in the sun, without needing to know what comes next.